banning an NFL play, and another former Raven in the news for not a good reason on this episode of the Purple Rain Report.
Did our intro run?
No. Yes, welcome back to another installment of the Purple Rain Report. Thank you for spending your morning, evening, afternoon, whatever that is with us. You can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. This guy, Instagram, X, Sutton Def. Me, Instagram, simplyas10.prod, X, simplyas10, and most importantly, Manscaped. Use code PRP for 20% off your whole entire order and free international shipping. The best deal on the internet. It is now Monday. We've had a whole weekend go by, and another weekend with some more Ravens in the media and some
Yeah.
drama, not for good reason. And to be honest, this is probably I'm gonna go the second worst. I feel like in terms of popularity blowing up, behind Tucker for sure. I think Ben Cleveland obviously didn't get that much traction because he is a bench player. T Sizzle, that's kind of older news that got brought back in, you know, current news. But man, we'll get into Steve Smith. Before I have to ask you, how are you doing? And how was your weekend?
I'm doing well, thank you very much, sir. And the weekend was pretty good. I can't complain about it. Me and my lady, we were hosting company here for like the past pretty much a week and almost a half. So after that, we were just kind of like a little bit worn out. You know what I mean? Tired. I'm still a little bit tired now. I'll probably look at a little bit at my face, but I'm getting back to getting to full 100% strength. But like you said, we got some things to talk about here on this episode of PRP. So let's go ahead and get right into it. You mentioned something before we went live. I just want you to be able to clear the air on this about the whole Justin Tucker situation, right? We talked about it last episode where the NFL is now officially investigating Justin Tucker. And we did see a comment in last week's episode basically saying, like, where is the Deshaun Watson energy when it comes to this whole Justin Tucker situation? Like, why are we not kind of going at Justin Tucker the same way that we went at Deshaun Watson a couple of years ago when his whole scandal came out and things like that? We don't know if it was directed towards us. We don't know who it was directed towards. But, Alex, I want to give you the chance to speak up on that.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I feel like neither of them should play another snap in the NFL. You can say it's for money, which I don't think it is for some of them, but I'm looking at it. There's 20 some for Deshaun, like 16, 17 for Tucker. Um, that's we said, one too many in that point, and I don't think either of them should be getting another snap in the NFL. I will say, if we're talking about the NFL, I think it's different coverage wise because he didn't just get a fully guaranteed $203 million contract. But either way, they should be getting the right attention for obvious reasons for what's going on. But I hope the energy is kept and he doesn't play another snap in the NFL. I hope it's more than what Watson got. But I don't want to sit here and kind of celebrate an I word, but I believe karma is a real thing, which is why what happened happened, and I'm celebrating it. But I do believe in karma, so I'm gonna get at that. But as for keeping the same energy, I don't think he should be playing in the NFL ever again or for the Ravens. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah. And I agree. Just for a little bit of clarification there, Deshaun Watson, he wasn't offered that money from the Browns until after all of those allegations and scandals came out. So, I think it would be a little bit different in this scenario here when it comes to Justin Tucker. I think that the biggest reason why people across the board, and by the way, just to say this really quick, I do agree. I don't think that he should play another snap, because I've said it plenty of times before. I'll say it again: where there's smoke, there's fire. That's just like a life thing, right? You know what I mean? So I do think that Justin Tucker is guilty of something, especially considering there's two whole businesses that say, "Hey, look, we don't want your money anymore. We don't want your millions of dollars, whatever you might tip in extra. All that. We don't want that. We're good. We're cool." That says something. That says a lot to me. So yeah, I do believe that there is something going on there, and if that is the case, which again I do believe it is, he shouldn't play another down in the NFL. So with that being said, going back to why I think that the national media may not be keeping the exact same energy as they kept with the whole Deshaun Watson situation, let's just call a spade a spade. I mean, Deshaun Watson is a was a at the time a top five fringe top three quarterback in this league, right? With the Houston Texans, what he was able to do. One of the seasons he finished like top three in completion percentage. He was just all over the place. The guy was really, really good. He was on the commercials, this and that. Like he was one of the faces of not only just the Houston Texas franchise, but the NFL, for a little while, right? Like, hey, I'm Deshaun Watson. You know what I mean? Like there was that whole thing going on for a period of time. So I think that that's why, when that story and that news came out, and especially as the numbers started to grow in terms of the allegations, that's why that story kind of blew up and got as big as it did, as opposed to this one. I mean, Ravens, Justin Tucker, like, yeah, I mean, if you football, you probably do know who Justin Tucker is, right? But he's no quarterback. Like everybody knows the quarterbacks, right, in the league. But if you are a kicker in this league, you have to be really, really good. And Justin Tucker happens to be one of the best of all time when we look back at it, right? But I'm saying all this to say like just the magnitude of player, right, of athlete between the two, of celebrity even between the two is just massively different, and I think that that's why it's not getting the same amount of like national media coverage like it used to be. Literally every single morning you can queue up First Take, Undisputed, whatever you like to watch in the morning, right? And that would be the leading topic, right? That would be in there what they call the A block, right? So the first thing that they talk about is, okay, what's the latest on the Deshaun Watson situation? Who are, and it went all the way deep to who his attorneys were, and all this legal stuff that like people up there who were big talking sports heads had no idea, had no business really talking about. So that's why I think it got to that point. But just to put a nice, cute little bow on it, again, like Alex said, we don't believe that anybody who is even accused, because again, accusations don't just happen out of nowhere. I mean, you could say like, oh, for money, this, for that. But again, there was two businesses that said, we're good. We don't want your money. Like there's damning pieces of evidence here. And I think that eventually, you know, I don't want to say like shit's going to hit the fan for Justin Tucker, but eventually the truth will come to light, and justice will be served, in whatever capacity, whatever that looks like. So we're just going to go ahead and leave that there on that whole not Deshaun Watson, but Justin Tucker situation, as the NFL continues to investigate. But getting into some more scandalous news, not necessarily coming right out of Baltimore, right, but just coming from a big figure in Baltimore, right, Steve Smith Sr., of course, former Ravens wide receiver. He was exposed this past weekend by a gentleman who has a wife who was having relations with Steve Smith Sr. While they were married, and I don't know if they're still married to this day. I don't know if he's already gotten a divorce or whatever, but there was some sexual relations. Let's just say that, okay, between Steve Smith Sr. and this gentleman's wife, and it got very messy on the timeline because you could see the back and forth text message exchanges between Steve Smith and this man's wife. And you also saw the phone call, which is it was a little bit cringy to me. I want to know what your reaction was to it. It was pretty cringe to me. Like the guy just kind of like talking to his phone and like pointing to his phone, like, "Hey man, what the f? Like you're Steve Smith Senior. Like, you're Steve Smith Senior. Like you're not a dumbass. Like why would you do this? Like like be a man, speak up." And Steve Smith Senior is just like, it kind of sounded like he put his phone on mute, while he wasn't talking. But the only thing I heard Steve Smith say was sorry. That's all he said, which was just like, to me, that's what I don't know. I don't know. It's not funny. It shouldn't be funny. Um, it's not funny. Okay, it's not funny. But just knowing the kind of guy Steve Smith is, I can't say I'm surprised. I just can't. But what's your assessment of all this, Alex?
I saw it when it had like I'm gonna go 17 quote tweets. It was very minimal, and I don't know how it even got found because this guy was tagging like AB, ESPN. He wasn't even tagging like any Ravens accounts. He tagged Yeti coolers. Like, why are you tagging Yeti coolers to like try to expose Steve Smith Sr.?
Yeah.
But I was really hoping, like I said, it's not funny. I was hoping he would just say "ice up, son." I was hoping he would just kind of give him a good one-liner, but he didn't. But it was, going back and forth. Like I thought it was old because like one of the pictures of him, he was wearing like his Ravens '89 stuff. I'm like, and he didn't look. He looked younger. Like he didn't have. Steve Smith hasn't really aged since he's left us. He still looks exactly the same in my opinion. He just kind of
Yeah.
bald. He had a little bit of
Yeah.
hair, but
He's
it's just
just
kind of
bald.
all gone now.
Yeah.
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 So I was like, I mean, kind of looked old, but then more and more stuff comes out. Like she was in the marching band. Like we sound like TMZ right now, by the way, but there's no Ravens news to talk about, so that's what we're talking
Right.
about. But like she was in the marching band, and funnily enough, week 4, Steve Smith was in the Ravens marching band, and we kind of know how that went. But
Yeah.
there were some pretty crazy things said, and got very messy. The guy was, as the kids call, crashing out on the timeline and stuff like that. Man, he had his first and last name, and you don't want to have that stuff on social because you can look you up by it, and he was just kind of just losing his mind. He got his AB mention. He got whatever the day, whatever AB calls it. But man, it was very wild on Saturday, and people were trying to where they were coming at Steve Smith, and I'm really not surprised by his character. Um, this is the same guy who like just called out Jerry Judy in front of his face on the sideline, calling him Jag, just a guy. He just like Steve Smith just does not care, and I'm not condoning
No.
it, but it's just like it's very in his character, and he does have a wife, which is very messed up on all parties. Like it sucks it
Yeah.
had to be
Yeah.
viral because
Yeah.
now she doesn't deserve to be embarrassed like that. Um, Same way the husband doesn't deserve to be embarrassed like that. It's just a really bad situation. And 2025 Ravens offseason, the offseason that just kind of keeps on giving to the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, like, I think honestly, if you're a Ravens fan, you cannot wait for free agency, draft to heat up anything but what's going on right now. Like, this is like the worst time of the year. Honestly, like no Ravens football, no positive news about the next upcoming season in the future. Just kind of sitting in like the void right now of like, okay, no football, but bad things still happening at the same time. How is this even possible? We don't even know when's the next time we're gonna get any good news, right? And that's why we're here doing these Purple Rain reports here. We don't want to hold you guys for too long on live streams talking about next to nothing. So what we want you to do, and just a little quick segue before we move on to the next topic, right? What we want you to do is leave your comments down below in the comment section, your questions, concerns, whatever you have. And we do want to get to those. We kind of want to do like a little mailbag thing, on some of these Purple Rain reports, so we can take some of your questions as well. So make sure you leave the questions, comments, concerns, whatever you got down below in the comment section. And make sure you like the video as well. It helps us out a ton. You guys know the drill. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Okay. Shifting gears here, Alex. So you mentioned something at the top of the episode, the tush push, right? This is a play, the infamous tush push, an infamous play that has been kind of, well, not kind of, very controversial in the last couple of seasons as the Philadelphia Eagles in particular have gotten only stronger and stronger doing it. Jason Kelsey retires. They're still really good at it. Like, it's it's starting to piss some people off. And by people, like you informed me before the show started, the Green Bay Packers were a team that was at first anonymously going to the NFL and saying like, "Hey, look, like we need to get this play out of the league." But now it has come to light that the Green Bay Packers have gone ahead and done that. What was your reaction to all of that? Do you think the tush push should be banned? And what was your reaction to the Packers thinking it should?
Yeah, not surprising considering they got knocked out to the Eagles. I think they ran the tush push on them. Um, I definitely think once again, as the kids call it, it should be nerfed. Um, I don't think it should, be, have a guy line up behind him, two guys line up behind him. If you're gonna make it one guy, do something to
Yeah,
not give it as much, I guess, power that is. They've definitely, in years prior, we've seen with the Patriots have ran certain formations. They've kind of cracked down on those. That was the Brady years, Belichick. But now it's like you have this tush push. I'm not saying remove the play by any means, but kind of just give us a better understanding of what you can and can't do because when the Commanders tried to stop it, they got flagged
hmm,
3 times, and then the refs
yeah,
threatened to even just give them a touchdown altogether without the ball crossing the plane.
yeah,
So I'm not for banning it, but I'm definitely for maybe making some modifications to maybe not make it as overpowered as it is because it's hard to stop it. But on the other side, I'm like,
hmm,
okay, well if it's working, then stop it. If you can't stop it, then stop complaining about it. You run it or try to run it. The Ravens, for one, have tried it, and we have had it work a couple of times. But my final answer, with that being said, maybe just keep one guy behind him, not two. 'Cause I know they'll have two guys pushing. One guy gets left, one gets right. Maybe leave
yeah,
just one person behind them. Maybe that's kind
yeah.
of what I got for you. Uh, but I'm surprised it took this long for one team to come out. I'll be honest with you. I thought last year would have been the year before when they lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. They would have came out and tried to get this banned or of some sorts.
Yeah. I mean, even like I do believe in nerfing the play. Um, maybe just one guy to assist or no guys to assist. You know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, like it's a QB sneak. It's a QB sneak. Like the quarterback should be the one, the extra man, right? Pushing through the pile of bodies that's in front of him. And if you can't do that, then like your team's just not effective at QB sneaking. Like it's just, it is what it is. For me, I think that I think that a lot of teams, and I'm actually glad that the Packers spoke out about it, because if nobody checks this, and I know like the thing is like nobody else does it the same way the Eagles do, so that's why it seems fair to let them keep doing it, because if you wanted to do it, you could do it. You have every right. But if we do allow the Eagles to keep doing this, it's a copycat league, right? So what's going to happen in years, you know, maybe 5, 10 years in the future, in the next 10 years, 10 drafts, let's just say the next 10 drafts, right? Quarterbacks are going to be ranked higher on draft boards depending on how much they can squat, right? That's going to be a very, very important factor. It's just going to become way more important than I feel like a lot of GMs, a lot of owners, maybe even feel like it needs to be, you know? Like, because as we all know, Jalen Hurts can squat 700 pounds, which is very abnormal for a human male. Like let alone a quarterback, right? Most quarterbacks are not doing that. They're not achieving that feat. No quarterbacks, even. So it's just like if that's because it's just it's such an effective play, right? From the 1 yard line, right? Honestly, you can line them up at the 4. It can be first and goal from the 4, and just run it 3, 4 times. You're gonna score, right? You're gonna get at least a yard each play, right? It makes it so when you're driving down the field, all you really need is like 3rd and 1, you know, 4th and 1. I mean, and it's automatic. It's automatic. So with that being said, I mean that really changes a football game. It changes the dynamic of a game, and I feel like it would change the way that these GMs start to draft their quarterbacks. Like they would prioritize guys who have bigger legs and they can squat more. Do you agree?
I mean the arm talent comes in maybe backups. I'll be honest with you. Maybe if you're like a day three guy and you can squat more, maybe they prioritize you. Because I mean
Interesting. Yeah.
if you're a mid quarterback and you can't squat, I don't know if they get drafted higher, like first second round type of thing. But definitely like a backup, I could see if you don't want to get your guy hurt, and if everybody knows what's
Yeah.
coming, throw him in there. The same way how when we put Mark Andrews under center, we know what's coming. It's our version of the touch push or Kolar or something like that. But
Yeah, that's
definitely
true too.
interesting.
But
This
but
is
you've
now
also seen the Eagles kind of deviate from the regular tush push as well. Like they've done things where like they faked it, right? I feel like that's happened a couple times. So, just the sheer threat that Jalen Hurts is still a quarterback and he can like pull that thing out of there and throw it to the flat or throw it over the top or wherever, that's also dangerous too. So it just I don't know, man. Like it gives them an advantage. I'll definitely say that. It definitely gives them an advantage.
it does, and we've seen it multiple times. Did it work in the Super Bowl? I don't think they didn't have to run in the Super Bowl. I think
They did. They
did
did.
this year. I know the other
Yeah,
couple
he
years
got
ago they
one.
did.
Yeah.
I mean, it just was a blowout. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing maybe if another team feels that way, or if we do get to a point where we vote on it and we see who's voting against it, who's voting for it. I can
Yeah.
see, as Ravens fans, I think we would vote for it to stay because we use it. I'll be honest with
Yeah. I could see like I would see honestly most AFC teams voting for it to stay.
you. Yeah, yeah. I
NFC
mean,
teams would probably be like, yeah, no, yeah, we want it out. But okay, last thing we wanted to touch on before we get out of here. Also, in terms of like the rules and things like that, onside kicks has
mm,
been a very, very hot topic. Last year only 7% of onside kicks were recovered by the kicking team, which is just not. It's a pointless play, right? Like kind of like what we talk about with the tush push. Like it's going to happen, right? 8 to 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen. And it happens. That's just not good television. That's the same reason why they had to back up the field goals, right? Because when field goals were within the 20, it was so easy. Like you could literally just get up and go to the bathroom because the kicker's going to bang it through. So they had to make it a little bit harder, right? It's just better for TV. So with the onside kick, and as we know, the new rules with the onside kick is that you can only do it in the fourth quarter, right? You can only do it if you're the team trailing. And I believe you can only do it one time. It's like a mulligan thing. Can you only do it once? I think you can only do it once, right?
I think no twice,
You can do it twice? Okay, okay, okay,
because
okay. Gotcha,
I
gotcha.
there was a time where it's like, or if you don't have a timeout or something. So I remember there's a game we had it where like we knew we were gonna win because they couldn't run an onside kick against us. I forget who it was against. Um, oh, it was I think it was the Bengals. No, it wasn't the Bengals game. I forget which one it was, but we knew we were gonna win it because they couldn't do it. So
Yeah.
it's weird. I don't like how you can only do it in the fourth quarter. I think it's
Yeah.
stupid. I
Only in
think
the fourth quarter, only if you're losing, and
that's
only you can. And here's another thing too: you have to announce your intention
yeah,
before doing it.
yeah,
Like that's the kicker to me. Like it literally deletes the element of surprise. I mean, I
yep,
think back to the Super Bowl with Sean Payton and those
yep.
Saints, and halftime coming out and kicking that onside kick and recovering it. Like no one saw that coming. So it's just like I think, and actually, what? I want to get your take. What do you think the solution is for this whole onside kick thing?
Go back to the way it was. I think it's stupid now. I really think it's like it just kind of takes. I mean, it got recovered on us twice against the Cowboys. That might have been the one because the Cowboys used two against us. And they got them both, so like they had to kick it off. I don't know what it was, but I think it's just stupid. Like the fact you only do it when you're down, they're expecting it, and the odds are saying 99.5% chance you're not going to recover it unless your special teams is that bad. I like the element of surprise. That's kind of what sports to me is about. The element of surprise, element of you don't know what's going to happen. The
Yeah,
same way, just like in football, you don't know when like a flea flicker is going to happen or like a trick play. You never know when an onside kick's going to happen. Make them, but that also goes back to the whole kickoff change and where they're at. So I guess you can't have one without the other. And I just,
yeah, and I think what the NFL was trying to do, they're trying to cut down on as many like head-on collisions
yeah,
where guys just don't see it coming, like blind sides and things like that. Which in that case, cool, I get it, right? But I've seen the proposal of people saying like, okay, let's just run like a 4th and 15 or 4th and 20 play, right? And if you convert that, you get the ball back. I personally am a big fan of that, right? It's about 5 times more likely. I've done the math on it. It's about 5 times more likely for a team to convert a 4th and 15 or 4th and 20 as opposed to receiving an onside kick, covering it rather. So, and it just makes the game like way more exciting. Like just the magnitude of that play alone, right? The stadiums will be rocking, right? You're going to be glued to your TV. You're not going anywhere. Like that's going to be the play. And imagine the camera cut scenes before the play, after the play, just the devastation of one team, the triumph of another. Like that would be huge, no?
it would. Yeah, I think it would. And if we're going to go back to the kickoffs, then why aren't punch changed? Because punch, you have the gunners. If you get by the two gunners, the gunners are coming down by themselves. They're full speed, and we've seen time and time again, a guy will call a fair catch, and a guy cannot stop, and he
Yeah, it
hits him
gets
head on,
blown up. Yeah.
and that's where is that different to? It's you're not running as far as you are with the kickoff, but it's still a big hit, possibly with the head. So, but as for the 4th and 15, it will bring a lot of excitement, I think. And if we're talking strictly from an NFL standpoint, I think they could look into it, should look into it, because you're gonna keep more people watching the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
you mentioned, you can only do what, two or something. So let's say
Yeah.
it's a one-score game, you score a touchdown, and you have to kick it off, and there's what 45 seconds left. You have one timeout. Game's over.
Right.
Now, if you convert the 4th and 15, 4th and 20, and let's say it's your five, now you're at the 30-yard line. You have 45 seconds or however long in a timeout to go, a certain amount of yards. Maybe you need a field goal. Maybe you need a touchdown. You're still gonna be watching.
Think about the live betting too.
Yep.
Like how much money they'd be raking in from guys like, oh yeah, I know they just scored. There's only 45 seconds left, but I think they got this 4th and 15, this 4th and 20.
Yeah.
That would swing the odds. Like it really would. And like more people I think would bet on that.
Yep. Yeah, they would. Especially if you can tell how the way the game's going, if the other defense is giving up big plays,
Yeah.
100%. And the
Yeah,
way the
man.
NFL is, they hate gambling in their sport, but you keep on pushing this book,
Oh yeah.
NFL's book, ESPN's book. It definitely that's a factor, 100%. That's a good point.
Yeah. So, but we want to know what you think about all this stuff. Onside kicks, tush pushes, all the scandals we talked about earlier in the episode. We're gonna leave it here for this episode of the Purple Rain Report. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new and you did just enjoy the content you witnessed, and comment questions, concerns, anything you got down below in the comment section. Again, you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. You can also go on manscaped.com right? Put in our code PRP at checkout. You're going to save 20% off your entire order plus the free international shipping. My name is Sutton Def. This is Simply AS10, the GOAT. And with that being said, I'm going to let my guy Simply take us out.
Thank you for coming through. Oh, to another Purple Rain report. We have the combine coming up. Probably when the lives come back. Because let's be real, who wants to watch live just talking about negative stuff? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's not really entertaining. I know I wouldn't want to. That's why we're not going live. I'll be honest with you. But when we get more content, maybe this guy fits the Ravens more than that guy. We'll be talking about it live with you guys. Thank you for
Yeah.
sticking with us. Hope you're enjoying your time off from football. I know I am. Sundays are very, very relaxing. As always, stay
Yes.
positive. That's negative.
Yes, yes, yes. And never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. This has been yet another episode of the Purple Rain Report. We're going to catch you guys in the next.